The hospital paper trembled in my hands. Positive. 3 weeks pregnant. I stared at the words until they blurred. My throat felt tight, like someone had wrapped their hands around it and squeezed. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was careful. I was always careful. Except for that one night. That one stupid, reckless night when I thought the ache in my bones was exhaustion from pulling double shifts. When I convinced myself the fever burning through me was just stress. When I walked into that underground club looking for a drink and found something far more dangerous instead. Heat. My first real heat in years, breaking through suppressants I'd been taking since I aged out of foster care at 18. And I'd been too far gone to care, too desperate for relief to think straight. The memories came in fragments, flashes of sensation more than images. Two voices, low and rough, asking if I was alone, hands steadying me when my legs gave out. The overwhelming scent of cedar and smoke wrapping around me like a drug I couldn't refuse, being caught between two bodies that felt like safety and danger all at once. I shoved the paper into my jacket pocket and pushed through the hospital doors. Cold October air hit my face, sharp enough to sting. I pulled my hood up and started walking, head down, hands shoved deep in my pockets. Just needed to get home, lock the door, figure out what the hell I was going to do about being pregnant with a baby whose fathers I couldn't even remember clearly. Seojun. My name stopped me cold. I knew that voice. Deep, controlled. The kind of calm that felt more threatening than any shout. I turned slowly, already knowing this was going to be bad. Two men stood beside a black sedan parked at the curb. Identical. Tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in dark suits that probably cost more than 6 months of my rent. One stood perfectly still, hands in his pockets, watching me with an expression that gave away nothing. The other leaned against the car with his arms crossed, wearing a smile that made my stomach drop. Twins. Recognition slammed into me like a fist to the chest. The club, the heat, them. "We need to talk," the calm one said. Not a request. My heart was already racing. "I don't know you." I started walking, fast, didn't look back. Footsteps behind me, measured and unhurried. They weren't chasing. They didn't need to. "You know us, Seojun." The second voice came from my right. Somehow he'd gotten ahead of me, cutting off my path down the sidewalk. Up close, I could see the difference between them now. This one's eyes held something warmer beneath the danger, almost playful. "You just don't remember everything yet." His scent hit me before I could take another step. Cedar and smoke. The same scent that had been all over my sheets when I woke up 3 weeks ago, alone and aching and covered in marks I didn't remember getting. My body recognized them before my mind caught up. My pulse slowed slightly. My breathing evened out. Every omega instinct I had screamed that these alphas were safe. I hated my body for that betrayal. "Stay away from me." I took a step back and hit something solid. The other twin. The cold one. He'd moved behind me without making a sound. "Can't do that." His voice came from just over my shoulder, close enough that I felt the words against my skin. "Not when you're carrying our child." The paper in my pocket felt like it was burning. People walked past us on the sidewalk. A woman with a stroller, two teenagers laughing, an old man walking his dog. Nobody stopped. Nobody noticed I was being cornered by two alphas who somehow knew my name, knew where I'd been, knew about the pregnancy I'd only confirmed 2 hours ago. "I don't know what you're talking about." The lie tasted bitter. The one in front of me pulled out his phone. He turned the screen toward me without a word. Security footage. Black and white, but clear enough. Me walking into the hospital's maternity wing at 9 this morning. Me sitting in the waiting room. Me leaving with a paper clutched in my hand. They'd been watching. "How long?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "Since you left," the cold one behind me answered. 3 weeks. We've been waiting for you to come to us. You didn't. So we came to you instead." The other one pocketed his phone. His smile had faded into something more serious, more intense. "You think we just let you walk away? Let you hide this from us?" "I wasn't hiding anything." My hands curled into fists. "I just found out today." "And you were going to do what?" the one behind me asked quietly. Raise our child alone in that apartment with the broken lock? Keep working yourself to death at two jobs that barely pay rent? How did they know about my jobs, my apartment? You've been stalking me. Anger cut through the fear. Good. Anger I could use. That's illegal. So is a lot of what we do. The smiling one stepped closer, not touching, but close enough that his scent surrounded me. Doesn't mean we'll stop. You don't own me. Not yet. The cold one's hand settled on my hip from behind, just resting there. A claim. A promise. But you're carrying our baby. That makes you ours whether you accept it or not. We're not here to ask permission, Seojun. The other one's voice dropped lower, softer, almost gentle. We're here to bring you somewhere safe. I am safe. 3 Omegas have gone missing from your neighborhood in the last month. The hand on my hip tightened slightly. Your building has 6 broken security cameras and a back entrance any alpha could breach. You call that safe? My phone buzzed. Both twins went completely still. The temperature around us seemed to drop. I fumbled for my phone with shaking hands. Unknown number. The message appeared. Congratulations on the pregnancy. Shame if something happened to it. The air turned sharp with the scent of furious alphas. Get in the car. No room for argument now. Now, Seojun. Someone else was watching. The leather seat was cold beneath me. I sat rigid between them, shoulders pulled in tight, trying to make myself smaller, trying not to touch either of them. The car smelled like expensive cologne and something darker underneath. Gunpowder, maybe. Or blood. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Breathe, the one on my left said quietly. Jiho, the one who smiled too much. I am breathing. My voice came out sharper than I meant it to. No, you're hyperventilating. His hand moved toward mine, then stopped. Like he'd thought better of it. We're not going to hurt you. You already did. I turned to look at him. You stalked me, cornered me on a public street, and now you're kidnapping me because of a pregnancy I didn't even know about until 2 hours ago. Hyunwoo spoke from my right, his voice calm and cold as ever. We're protecting you. From what? A text message? From whoever sent it. He didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead through the windshield. And from yourself, if necessary. I wanted to punch him. Would have, if I thought it'd do anything besides break my hand. The city blurred past the tinted windows. We were heading north, away from my neighborhood, with its broken streetlights and corner stores, with bars on the windows. The buildings got taller, cleaner, the kind of area I only saw from bus windows on my way to work. Where are we going? I asked. Home, Jiho said. I have a home. Not anymore. The casual way he said it made my stomach turn, like my entire life could just be erased with 3 words. We drove for another 20 minutes in silence. The buildings eventually gave way to trees, then to a road that wound upward into hills I didn't know existed this close to the city. Finally, we turned through massive iron gates that opened automatically. My breath caught. The house beyond the gates wasn't a house. It was an estate. 3 stories of stone and glass, surrounded by manicured gardens and tall walls. Men in dark suits stood at intervals along the driveway, hands resting casually near their waists in a way that screamed concealed weapons. You've got to be kidding me, I stared out the window. This is where you live? Where we live, Hyunwoo corrected. You'll have your own room, your own space. My own gilded cage, you mean? Jiho laughed softly. He's funny when he's terrified. I'm not terrified. I was absolutely terrified. The car stopped in front of the main entrance. Jiho got out first, then turned to offer me his hand. I ignored it and climbed out on my own, nearly tripping over the curb in the process. The front door opened before we reached it. Inside was worse than outside. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork that probably cost more than I'd make in 10 years. Everything was pristine and cold and completely wrong for someone like me. A housekeeper appeared from somewhere, bowing slightly to the twins before disappearing again just as quickly. This way. Hyunwoo's hand settled on my lower back, guiding me toward a staircase. I jerked away from his touch. I can walk by myself. He let his hand drop but stayed close. Too close. They led me upstairs to a bedroom that was bigger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A bed that could fit 4 people. An attached bathroom with a tub I could probably swim in. "You'll stay here," Hyunwoo said. "Everything you need will be provided." I turned to face them both. "And if I want to leave, you won't." Jiho leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. That smile was back. "Not once you understand what's waiting for you out there." "What's that supposed to mean?" Hyunwoo moved to the window, looking out over the grounds. "We have enemies. Business rivals who would do anything to gain leverage over us." "What kind of business?" "The kind that doesn't end well for people who ask too many questions." He turned to face me. "You're carrying our child. That makes you valuable. A target." My hand moved unconsciously to my stomach. Still flat. Still impossible to believe there was actually something growing inside me. "So what?" I forced my hand back down. "You're just going to keep me locked up here like some kind of—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Like someone precious," Jiho said quietly. The humor had left his voice. "Like someone we won't let anyone touch." I didn't ask for this. My throat felt tight. I didn't ask for any of this. The pregnancy, the danger, you. My voice cracked on the last word. For the first time since they'd cornered me outside the hospital, Hyunwoo's expression shifted. Something almost human flickered across his face. "We know," he said. "Then let me go." "No." The word hung in the air between us. Final. Absolute. My legs felt weak, so I sat down on the edge of the bed before they could give out completely. I worked really hard to build a life for myself. It wasn't much, but it was mine. And you're just taking it away. Neither of them answered. The silence stretched until I couldn't stand it anymore. "At least tell me what I'm supposed to do now." "Rest." Jiho pushed off the doorframe. "Eat. Let us handle everything else." "I don't need you to handle anything." "Yes," Hyunwoo said, "you do." He was halfway to the door when someone knocked. Sharp. Urgent. A man in a suit appeared, bowing quickly. "Sir, Miss Im is here." Hyunwoo's entire body went rigid. "I didn't summon her." "She says it's urgent." Jiho swore under his breath. Before anyone could move, I heard footsteps in the hall. Fast, purposeful. Then a woman appeared in the doorway. She was beautiful in a way that felt dangerous. Tall, elegant, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my car. Her dark hair was pulled back in a perfect bun, her makeup flawless. Her eyes swept over me with cold assessment. "So this is why you both broke our arrangement." Her voice was smooth, cultured, sharp as a blade. "A pregnant stray." The woman's smile could cut glass. "A pregnant stray," she repeated, her gaze sliding over me like I was something she'd found stuck to her shoe. "How utterly—" "Finish that sentence, and you'll regret it." Hyunwoo's voice dropped to something dark and dangerous. Jiho moved to stand beside his brother, both of them creating a wall between me and this woman. Their scents had turned sharp, aggressive, protective. She raised one perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "Threatening me now, Hyunwoo? How quickly you forget our arrangement." "There is no arrangement," Jiho said flatly. "Not anymore. Your father might disagree." She stepped into the room uninvited, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Everything about her screamed money and power, the kind I'd only ever seen from a distance. We had a contract. Our families had an understanding. I looked between the twins and this woman, pieces clicking into place. "You were engaged to her?" "To both of them," she corrected, turning that cold smile on me. "That's how it works in our world. Alliance through marriage. Power through unity." Her eyes narrowed. "Until you came along and ruined everything." My stomach twisted. "I didn't ruin anything. I didn't even know who they were." "Exactly." She circled closer, studying me like I was a specimen under glass. "You're nobody. No family, no connections, no value beyond what's currently growing in your— Sulbi." Hyunwoo's voice cracked through the air like a whip. "You're done." She stopped, but that smile never wavered. "Am I? Because from where I'm standing, I'm the only one in this room being honest." She looked at me again. "Do you even know what you've cost them? The alliance our families built over 3 generations, gone. The territory agreements dissolved. All because of one reckless night and an Omega who can't even remember it. Heat crawled up my neck. Shame mixed with anger in a way that made my hands shake. He doesn't need to remember, Jiho said quietly. We do, and that's enough. Shulby laughed. The sound was cold. How romantic. Tell me, does he know about the shipment you lost last week? The rivals circling your territory like sharks? Or are you still pretending you can protect him while your empire crumbles? How do you know about the shipment? Yunwoo stepped forward. That information was internal. She shrugged, examining her nails. I have my sources. Like whoever sent that text, I heard myself say. Her gaze snapped to me. For just a second, something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, or calculation. What text? But her voice was too careful, too controlled. Jiho pulled out his phone, showing her the screen. This one, sent to Seojun 2 hours ago, threatening him and the baby. She barely glanced at it. I don't know anything about that. You just mentioned the baby, I said. How did you know I was pregnant? The twins haven't announced it. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats too long. Lucky guess, Sulby said smoothly. Why else would they break off our engagement so suddenly? Why else would they bring home a random Omega and guard him like he's made of gold? She tilted her head. It wasn't difficult to figure out. You knew about the threat before we showed you the text. Yunwoo moved to block the door. You knew specific details. How? I know lots of things. She crossed her arms. I know your enemies are already moving against you. I know the other families see this, she gestured vaguely at me, as weakness, an opportunity. That sounds like a threat, Jiho said softly. It's a warning. Her expression shifted, something almost genuine breaking through the ice. My father is furious about the broken engagement. He thinks you've insulted our family, made us look weak. That's his problem, Yunwoo said. No, Sulby's voice hardened. It's yours. And his. She looked directly at me. Because my father doesn't forgive insults. And he certainly doesn't forgive Omegas who interfere with business. Fear spiked cold down my spine. Is that why you're here? I forced my voice steady. To threaten me yourself? I'm here to give you a chance. She stepped closer to me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Expensive and suffocating. Walk away. Disappear. We'll compensate you for the inconvenience. Enough money to start over somewhere far from here. Sulby, Hyunwoo started. I'm talking to him. She didn't break eye contact with me. What do you think, Omega? Is carrying their baby worth dying for? My throat felt tight. I'm not going anywhere. Stupid, she murmured. Brave, maybe, but stupid. Get out, Jiho said. Now. She turned to face them both, and her mask cracked just enough to show the fury underneath. You think you can protect him? You couldn't even protect. She stopped herself, smiled instead, cold and sharp. Ask them about the last Omega who got involved with them. Ask them what happened when their enemies found out. The temperature in the room dropped. There was no other Omega, Hyunwoo said, but something in his voice felt wrong. Hollow. Wasn't there? Sulby looked between them. I suppose it doesn't matter. History tends to repeat itself. She walked toward the door, and neither twin stopped her this time. At the threshold, she paused, looked back at me one last time. My father is coming, tonight, to resolve this situation personally. Her smile returned. I suggest you run while you still can. Then she was gone. The silence she left behind felt suffocating. What did she mean? I asked quietly. About the last Omega? Neither of them answered. Before I could push, every light in the compound cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. My heart slammed against my ribs. Emergency backup should have kicked in. It didn't. I moved to the window. Through the glass, I could see headlights in the distance. Multiple vehicles approaching the gates through the darkness. Down the hallway, I heard Sulby's voice drifting in. She was laughing. He's early. Gunfire shattered the silence. I jerked away from the window as glass exploded inward, shards raining across the floor where I'd been standing seconds before. My ears rang. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. Get down! Jiho grabbed me, yanking me to the floor and covering my body with his. His weight pressed me into the carpet, protective and suffocating all at once. More gunshots, shouting from somewhere below, the sound of boots on marble. How many? Hyunwoo was already at the door, phone pressed to his ear, his voice deadly calm despite the chaos erupting around us. At least 15, someone answered through the speaker. They breached the east gate. Someone cut the power and disabled the backup generators. Sulby, it had to be. Lockdown protocol, Hyunwoo ordered. Now! Metal shutters started sliding down over the windows with a mechanical whir. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in dim red. Jiho pulled me to my feet, his hands gripping my shoulders. Listen to me. We're going to move you somewhere safe. You stay there until we come get you. Understand? What's happening? My voice shook. I hated how scared I sounded. Sulby's father. Hyunwoo crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbing my arm. Im Kangdae. He's here to eliminate the problem. The problem? Me. He's going to kill me? The words came out hollow, disconnected. No. Both twins said it at the same time, their voices overlapping. Certain. He's going to try, Hyunwoo continued. We won't let him succeed. They pulled me into the hallway. Guards ran past us, armed and moving with military precision. The sound of gunfire was closer now, louder. We descended a hidden staircase I hadn't known existed, going down and down until we were somewhere beneath the main house. The air smelled like concrete and metal. Hyunwoo pressed his palm against a scanner. A reinforced door slid open with a hiss. Inside, he said. I looked into the windowless room. Security monitors lined one wall. Supplies stacked against another. A bed. A bathroom. Everything someone would need to survive for days without leaving. A cage. No, I stepped back. I'm not hiding while you two go out there and get shot. You don't have a choice. Jiho moved behind me, blocking my retreat. I didn't have a choice about any of this. The words burst out of me, sharp and desperate. I didn't choose to get pregnant. I didn't choose to be claimed by you. I didn't choose to have a target on my back because some mafia boss thinks I'm an insult to his family. But this, I gestured at the safe room. This I'm choosing. I'm not going in there. Hyunwoo's jaw tightened. Seojun! What happens if they get past you? My voice cracked. What happens if you don't come back? Something shifted in his expression. Something that looked almost like fear. We'll come back, Jiho said quietly. He touched my face, gentle in a way that made my chest ache. We'll always come back for you. You can't promise that. Watch us. An explosion rocked the building. The lights flickered. Dust rained from the ceiling. We're out of time. Hyunwoo grabbed my hand, pulling me into the safe room. Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone except us. The door started to close. Wait. I reached for them. But the metal barrier slid shut with a final, terrible click. I was alone. I pressed my palms against the cold steel, listening to their footsteps fade. Then gunfire erupted somewhere above me, and I stumbled back. The security monitors showed different angles of the compound. I watched armed men flood through the gates, watched the twins' guards engage them, watched Hyunwoo and Jiho disappear into the chaos, moving like they'd done this 100 times before. Then I saw her, Sulby, standing near a side entrance, gesturing to a group of men. She pulled open a door that should have been locked and let them inside. I wanted to scream, to warn the twins, but they were already gone, fighting their way through enemies while more poured in through the entrance Sulby had opened. The monitor flickered. I froze. It flickered again, then went black for 3 seconds before coming back online. But something was wrong. The feed looked different, glitchy. Then I heard it, a mechanical whir, the sound of locks disengaging. I spun toward the door. The biometric lock was blinking red, cycling through override protocols. Someone was opening the safe room from the outside. My heart stopped. Sulby. She knew about this room. She'd given them the access codes. I looked around frantically. There had to be another way out. There had to be, there, in the corner. A small door I'd missed before. Emergency exit, barely visible in the dim light. The main door's locks disengaged with a click. I ran. The emergency exit opened into a narrow tunnel. Dark, cramped, I didn't care. I crawled through, my breath coming in sharp gasps, until I emerged into the garden on the far side of the compound. Cold air hit my face. The smell of smoke. I could hear fighting closer now. Voices shouting in Korean. The twins calling orders to their men. I needed to reach them. Needed to warn them about Sulby. I started running toward the sound of their voices. A figure stepped out from behind the hedges. I skidded to a halt. The man was older. 50s maybe. Gray hair. Expensive suit despite the violence happening around us. He held a gun with the casual comfort of someone who'd used one many times before. Im Kang-dae. He smiled. Cold. Calculating. The Omega who destroyed my daughter's future. He raised the gun slightly. How convenient. Behind me I heard the twins shouting my name. Desperate. Afraid. Kang-dae's smile widened. Let's see how far they'll go to save you. I stared at it. At the man holding it. And my brain couldn't process what was happening. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. You're trembling, Im Kang-dae observed. His voice was calm, almost kind, like we were having tea instead of standing in a garden while gunfire echoed around us. Good, you should be afraid. I could hear the twins in the distance, shouting orders, calling my name, but they sounded so far away, too far. No one was coming. They chose you over my daughter. Kang-dae circled me slowly, the gun never wavering from my chest. Over an alliance 3 generations in the making. Over power and territory and everything that matters in our world. He stopped directly in front of me. I want to understand why. I don't know. My voice came out hoarse, small. Neither do I. He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're not particularly beautiful, not well-connected, not strong. His gaze dropped to my stomach. Just fertile, apparently. And even that is unfortunate timing. Anger flickered through the fear, hot and sharp. The twins have had lovers before, he continued. Plenty of them. Omega's far more suitable than you. But they never broke off political arrangements for any of them. Never risked war. His eyes met mine. What makes you different? I didn't ask them to choose me. The words burst out. I didn't ask for any of this. No? He smiled. Then leave. Walk away. I'll let you go right now if you agree to disappear. Take money, start over somewhere they'll never find you. For one desperate second I considered it. Just running, getting as far from this nightmare as possible. Then I thought about the baby, about waking up tomorrow and the next day and every day after, wondering if the twins were alive or dead, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. No, I whispered. Pity. Kang-dae raised the gun slightly. Then you leave me no choice. My hand slid into my jacket pocket. The knife was small, barely 4 inches. I'd carried it since I was 16, living in neighborhoods where being an Omega alone meant being a target. I'd never used it. Never thought I'd need to. My fingers closed around the handle. Kang-dae was still talking, something about duty and family honor, but I wasn't listening anymore. My pulse thundered in my ears. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to run. Instead, I moved. I lunged forward, bringing the knife up toward his side, aiming for anywhere that might make him drop the gun, anywhere that might buy me seconds. The blade sank into flesh. Kang-dae grunted, surprised more than hurt. I felt it go in, felt the resistance, but my hand was shaking so badly I couldn't push it deeper, couldn't twist it, couldn't do anything except hold the knife there while my entire body betrayed me with trembling. He looked down at where the blade had pierced his suit jacket, then back at me. Interesting, he said quietly. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. His grip was iron. He twisted sharply and I cried out, the knife clattering to the ground. Look at you. He pulled me closer, his breath warm against my face, shaking, hesitating. You can't even commit to saving yourself. His smile was almost pitying. You stabbed me and you're crying about it. I hadn't realized I was. Tears streamed down my face, hot and humiliating. This is our world, Kang-dae continued. Violence, power, survival of the strongest. And you, he shook his head. You're too soft, too weak. Too human. He released my wrist and I stumbled back. The twins will realize that eventually, when the novelty wears off, when they remember what they sacrificed for you. You don't know them. My voice cracked. I know men like them. I've known them my entire life. He touched his side where I'd stabbed him. The wound was bleeding but not badly. Barely more than a scratch. They're predators. You're prey. That dynamic doesn't change just because you're carrying their child. The word child made my hand move unconsciously to my stomach. Kangdae noticed. His expression shifted. That's all you are to them right now, he said. An incubator. A vessel. Once the baby is born, they won't need you anymore. That's not true, isn't it? He stepped closer. Tell me, Omega, if you lost that baby right now, do you really think they'd keep you? Protect you? Or would you become just another inconvenient loose end? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe they'd still want me. But doubt crept in like poison. Kangdi saw it on my face, smiled. Let me help you understand your place. Cold metal pressed against my stomach. The gun. He'd moved it while I was distracted. Now it rested exactly where the baby was, where that tiny, impossible life was growing. My blood turned to ice. No! The word came out broken. Please. This is a kindness, Kangdoi said softly. Quick, painless. And it saves you from the slow torture of realizing you never really mattered to them. Please don't. I was begging now. I didn't care. I'll leave. I'll disappear. I'll do whatever you want. Too late. His finger moved to the trigger. I gave you that chance. You refused. In the distance, I heard someone screaming my name, Hyunwoo or Jiho. Maybe both. They sounded desperate, frantic, too far away. Kangdae's smile turned cruel. If the baby is gone, they will discard you. But the torment will be for you all. Time seemed to slow. I saw his finger tighten on the trigger. Saw the slight movement. Felt the pressure of the gun barrel against my stomach increase just slightly. Then the world exploded in sound and pain. The gunshot was deafening, so loud my ears went numb instantly. I felt the impact. Felt my body jerk backward. Felt something warm spreading across my stomach. My legs gave out. I hit the ground hard, my head cracking against stone. The sky above me was dark. Smoke drifted across the stars. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't do anything except lie there while heat and wetness spread across my abdomen. Blood, so much blood. My hand moved to my stomach, trembling, desperate to feel if anything was still there, still alive. Pain lanced through me, sharp and terrible. I heard footsteps running, heard voices shouting, heard Kangdi say something I couldn't make out through the ringing in my ears. Then the twins were there. I saw their faces above me, saw Hyunwoo drop to his knees, hands pressing against my stomach. Saw Jiho screaming at someone, his gun raised. I tried to tell them I was sorry. Sorry for running. Sorry for not being strong enough. But when I opened my mouth, only blood came out. Stay with us, Hyunwoo was saying. His hands were covered in red. My red. Seojun, stay with us. I wanted to. I really did. But the darkness was so heavy, so tempting. My eyes closed. The last thing I heard was both of them screaming my name. White ceiling tiles. That's what I saw when I opened my eyes. Sterile. Cold. The kind of white that only existed in hospitals. Pain hit me second. Sharp and deep, radiating from my stomach through my entire body. I tried to move and immediately regretted it. My hand went to my abdomen, flat, bandaged, empty. No. I pressed harder, desperate to feel something. Anything. A flutter, a presence, some sign that I was wrong. Nothing. The heart monitor beside me beeped steadily, mockingly, like my body didn't understand that everything inside me had just died. You're awake. I turned my head. A nurse stood in the doorway, clipboard in hand, middle-aged, kind eyes, the type who'd probably seen too much tragedy to be surprised by more. The baby, I whispered. My throat felt like sandpaper. Her expression softened. That was answer enough. I'm so sorry, she said quietly. The trauma from the gunshot wound caused a miscarriage. The doctors did everything they could, but I stopped listening. Gone. The baby was gone. 3 weeks. I'd only known about the pregnancy for one day, but somehow the loss felt like losing a piece of myself I'd never get back. Where are they? My voice sounded hollow, distant. The men who brought you in. The nurse checked her clipboard. They left about an hour ago. Said they had urgent business to handle. Of course they did. The baby was gone. I was no longer useful, no longer worth protecting. They'd left, just like everyone always left. The nurse asked if I needed anything. I shook my head. She reminded me to press the call button if the pain got worse, then disappeared back into the hallway. I stared at the ceiling and felt nothing. No, that wasn't true. I felt everything. Every abandonment, every foster home that sent me back, every social worker who promised things would get better and then vanish from my life. I'd survived all of it by learning one simple truth. Don't get attached. Don't hope. Don't expect anyone to stay. I'd broken that rule. Let myself believe for one stupid moment that maybe the twins were different, that maybe I mattered beyond what I was carrying. The machines around me beeped, monitored a body that had failed the only job it was supposed to do. I looked at the IV in my arm, the bandages wrapping my torso, the guards stationed outside my door, visible through the small window. Prison, just a cleaner one. I waited until the nurse's footsteps faded down the hall, until the guard's attention shifted to his phone. Then I moved. Every muscle screamed in protest as I sat up. The IV pulled at my skin. I yanked it out, pressing my hand against the bleeding puncture. Grabbed the spare clothes someone had left folded on the chair. Not mine. Too big, probably meant for someone else. I didn't care. Getting dressed took forever. My hands shook. Pain lanced through my abdomen with every movement. Fresh blood seeped through the bandages. I made it to the door. Waited for the guard to turn his back during a shift change. Slipped out. The elevator ride down felt endless. I leaned against the wall, watching the numbers descend. 3rd floor, 2nd floor. Lobby. Cold air hit my face when I pushed through the exit doors. November night. The kind that cuts straight through stolen scrubs. I started walking. My apartment was 40 blocks away. I made it 3 before I had to stop, leaning against a brick wall while my vision swam. Blood was soaking through the clothes now. I could feel it, warm and wet against my skin. Keep moving. I don't know how long it took. Every step blurred into the next. The city passed in fragments. Streetlights, car horns, someone asking if I needed help. I kept walking. My building appeared like a mirage. 4 stories, peeling paint, broken security camera still hanging by wires. Home. I dragged myself up the stairs. Each step felt like climbing a mountain. By the time I reached my floor, I was leaving bloody handprints on the railing. My door, number 3C. Key still in my pocket somehow. I fumbled with the lock, dropped the keys twice, finally got it open. The apartment was exactly how I'd left it. Tiny. Messy. A pile of unpaid bills on the counter. The couch with the broken spring. My entire life crammed into 400 square feet. I stepped inside. They were sitting on my couch. Hyunwoo and Jiho, both of them, waiting in the dark like they'd known I'd come here. I froze in the doorway. They looked terrible, exhausted. Hyunwoo's suit was rumpled, blood-stained. Jiho's eyes were red-rimmed. Neither of them had shaved. "You left," I said. My voice came out broken, accusing. "We had to deal with Kangdi." Hyunwoo stood slowly. His gaze dropped to my stomach, to the blood seeping through the scrubs. His face went pale. "What did you do?" "I came home." I swayed on my feet. The room tilted sideways. Jiho was up in an instant, crossing to me. "You're bleeding out." "Doesn't matter." I tried to push past him. Needed to get to my bedroom, pack a bag, disappear before they could tell me to leave first. "Seojun, the baby's gone." The words tasted like ash. "So you don't need me anymore. I get it. I've always gotten it." Tears burned my eyes. I was so tired of crying. Everyone leaves eventually. At least you waited until I woke up. What are you talking about? Jiho grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. You left the hospital. My legs were giving out. You got what you wanted and then you left. We went to kill Im Kangdae, Hyunwoo said quietly. I blinked. What? He shot you. Jiho's grip tightened. He killed our baby. Did you really think we'd let him walk away from that? Is he dead? Hyunwoo's voice was flat, final, along with everyone who helped him breach our home. The room spun harder. I couldn't process this. Couldn't understand why they were here. Why they looked at me like, you're bleeding, Jiho said again. He was holding me up now. When had I stopped being able to stand? Let me go. I tried to pull away. Just let me disappear. I won't tell anyone about you. Won't cause problems. I'll just... No. You don't want me anymore. Stop. Hyunwoo was in front of me now, too. Both of them surrounding me. Stop talking. The baby's gone, I whispered. I'm useless to you now. Something cracked in Hyunwoo's expression. He looked at Jiho, then back at me. Did you really think, he said slowly, that we only wanted you for the baby? I couldn't answer. Couldn't breathe. Jiho's hand cut my face. Did you think you could leave us? My knees buckled. They caught me before I hit the ground. Jiho's hands were gentle as he combed my hair. I sat on the floor between his knees, back pressed against the couch, while his fingers worked through the strands with surprising skill. Hyunwoo was in the kitchen making tea. Actual tea, not the coffee I'd been living on for years. 1 month since the hospital. 1 month since I'd tried to disappear, and they'd found me bleeding out in my apartment. 1 month of this. Of them. You're tense, Jiho murmured, his fingers pausing. I'm always tense. Not like this. He resumed braiding, his touch feather-light against my scalp. What are you thinking about? Everything. Nothing. The fact that I'd woken up this morning, wrapped between both of them, and hadn't immediately panicked. The way Hyunwoo had kissed my shoulder before getting up. The quiet domesticity of Jiho stealing my coffee and replacing it with orange juice because apparently I needed vitamins. Why me? I asked quietly. The braiding stopped. Hyunwoo appeared in the doorway, 2 mugs in his hands. He'd heard. Of course he had. What do you mean? Jiho's voice was careful. That night at the club, I kept my eyes on my hands folded in my lap. You could have had anyone. Omegas who actually knew what they were doing. Who belonged in your world, I swallowed. Why did you choose me? Silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Hyunwoo crossed the room and sat on the coffee table in front of me. Set the tea down, reached out and tilted my chin up until I had no choice but to meet his eyes. You fought it, he said simply. I blinked. What? Your heat, your instincts, everything your body was screaming at you to do. His thumb brushed along my jaw. You were terrified and desperate and still trying to be smart about it, asking questions, looking for exits. Most Omegas in heat just surrender, Jiho added softly. Let their biology take over. But you, he laughed quietly. You told us to go away, called us predators, said if we touched you, you'd stab us. Heat crawled up my neck. I don't remember that. We do. Hyunwoo's expression softened in a way I'd only started seeing recently. You were scared, but you weren't weak. And when you finally let us close, he paused. It felt like you were choosing us, not just accepting whoever happened to be there. We didn't plan to keep you, Jiho admitted. His hand settled on my shoulders. Heat happens. We were going to make sure you were safe, take care of you through it, then let you go. My chest tightened. What changed? Everything. Hyunwoo stood, started pacing. You fell asleep between us and I realized I didn't want to let you go. Woke up and you were already gone. Just vanished. No name. No number. Nothing. We spent 3 weeks looking for you, Jiho said. Turned the entire city upside down trying to find the Omega who'd stabbed Hyunwoo's hand when he got too close too fast. I twisted to look at him. I stabbed him? Hyunwoo held up his left hand. A thin scar ran across his palm. 4 stitches. You deserved it, Jiho added, grinning. Despite everything, I almost smiled. And when you found me? You were at the hospital. Hyunwoo stopped pacing. Pregnant, terrified. Still fighting, even though you were shaking so hard you could barely stand. He crouched in front of me. We knew then. You weren't just heat, weren't just chemistry. You were ours, Jiho finished. The words settled over me, heavy and warm and terrifying. I lost the baby, my voice cracked. I'm not useful anymore. Useful? Hyunwoo's eyes flashed. You think we want you because you're useful. Everyone wants me for something. The truth spilled out before I could stop it. It's been 6 years since I aged out of the system, and I still can't shake the feeling that people only keep me around when I'm convenient. What happened? Jiho asked gently. Nothing dramatic, just reality. I pulled my knees to my chest. 23 different homes between birth and 18. Some wanted the monthly checks, some wanted free labor. The couple who almost adopted me when I was 17 changed their minds last minute. Said I was too old, too damaged, that they wanted someone easier to love. The silence that followed felt like a physical weight. Then Hyunwoo's hands cupped my face. Look at me. I did. His eyes were intense, almost angry. We chose you before we knew about the baby. We would have chosen you without it. And we're choosing you now. His voice dropped. Not because you're easy, not because you're useful, because you're you. Sarcastic, Jiho added. Stubborn, Hyunwoo continued. Brave in the most terrifying ways. Ours. Tears burned my eyes. I didn't cry anymore. Hadn't let myself since the hospital. But something in my chest cracked open. Jiho pulled me back against him. Hyunwoo stayed close, one hand on my knee. I don't know how to do this, I whispered. Do what? Trust, stay. Believe someone won't leave. Then don't trust us yet, Hyunwoo said. Just stay. Let us prove it. I closed my eyes, let myself lean into Jiho's warmth. Felt Hyunwoo's hand tighten on my knee. For the first time in my life, I wanted to believe. A sharp knock interrupted the moment. One of the guards appeared at the door. His expression was strange, uncertain. Sir, he addressed both twins. There's someone at the gate. He says. The guard hesitated. He says you've been looking for him for 2 years. Hyunwoo stood slowly. Who? He gave his name as Kang Minjae. The temperature in the room dropped. I felt Jiho go rigid behind me, saw the color drain from Hyunwoo's face. That's impossible, Jiho breathed. He has a child with him, the guard continued. A boy, maybe 2 years old. Hyunwoo swayed slightly, like he'd been punched. Bring them in. Wait, I started, but they were already moving, both of them heading for the door like gravity itself was pulling them. I followed because I didn't know what else to do. We reached the entrance just as the gates opened. A figure walked through, slender, beautiful in a way that made my stomach drop. Dark hair, pale skin, carrying a small child on his hip. The boy had Hyunwoo's sharp features, Jiho's soft eyes. Minjae stopped when he saw the twins. His face crumpled. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I tried to stay away, but Hyunwoo reached him first, pulled him into an embrace that looked like grief and relief and disbelief all at once. Jiho followed. Wrapped his arms around both of them, around the child. I stood frozen in the doorway, watched them hold this Omega like he was something precious they'd lost. Watched them touch the child with wonder, with recognition. We thought you were dead, Hyunwoo's voice cracked. We thought we lost you. Minjae looked up, over their shoulders. His eyes met mine, and he smiled. I didn't belong in this room. The thought hit me as I stood in the doorway, watching the twins cradle a child I'd never known existed. Watching them touch Minjae like he was made of glass and gold and everything precious they'd thought they'd lost. I was an intruder, a placeholder, a mistake. His name is Junho, Minjae was saying. His voice was soft, musical. Everything mine wasn't. He turned 2 last month. The boy had Hyunwoo's serious eyes, Jiho's smile. There was no mistaking whose child he was. How? Jiho's voice cracked. We saw the building collapse. We searched for weeks. I got out through a service tunnel. Minjae shifted Junho on his hip. The child's small hand clutched his shirt. Barely. I was hurt badly. Spent 2 months in a hospital under a fake name. He looked down at the boy. By the time I recovered, I was already showing, and I knew. If your enemies found out I was alive, they'd come for the baby. So you disappeared. Yunwoo touched Junho's cheek with trembling fingers, like he couldn't quite believe the child was real. I had to keep him safe. Minja's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to come back every single day, but I couldn't risk it, not until... He broke off, glancing at me for the first time since entering. I heard about the attack, about Im Kang-dai. I thought if he was gone, maybe it was finally safe. The twins hadn't looked at me once since Minjae walked through the gates. I took a step back, then another. No one noticed. I turned and walked away. My footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. Behind me, I could hear Junho laughing at something Jiho said. The sound followed me all the way to my room. I closed the door and leaned against it, pressed my hand to my stomach where there was nothing anymore. Where there would never be anything. They had a son, a real family, the Omega they'd loved first. What was I? I started packing. I didn't have much. Most of my clothes were still at my old apartment. The twins had bought me new things, but they didn't feel like mine. Nothing here felt like mine. You're leaving. I spun around. Minjae stood in the doorway. I hadn't heard him approach. Just getting some air, I lied. He smiled. It was kind, understanding, absolutely poisonous. You don't have to pretend with me. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. I know what it's like to love them and feel like you're not enough. I don't... Please. He sat on the edge of my bed. I can see it all over your face. The way you look at them. The way you're breaking right now. He tilted his head. I'm sorry about your miscarriage, truly. That must have been devastating. The sympathy in his voice made me want to scream. But you have to understand something. His tone shifted, still soft, but with an edge underneath. They loved me first. They have a child with me. A living child. He gestured at my half-packed bag. You were just keeping the bed warm until I came back. Get out. I'm not trying to be cruel. He stood. I'm trying to save you from more pain. Stay here and you'll always be second. The replacement. The one they settled for when they thought I was dead. I said get out. They'll choose Junho over you every time. His eyes met mine. He's their blood. Their heir. What are you? I grabbed the nearest thing, a lamp, and threw it. It shattered against the wall beside his head. Minjae didn't flinch, just smiled. Exactly what I thought. He walked to the door, paused. For what it's worth, I don't blame you for trying. They're easy to fall for, but this was always going to end badly for you. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I stood there shaking, angry, terrified, because everything he'd said was true. I'd been stupid to believe I mattered. The door opened again, both twins this time. They saw the bag on the bed, the broken lamp, my face. What are you doing? Hyunwoo asked quietly. What does it look like? I shoved another shirt into the bag. Jiho crossed the room, grabbed the bag, and threw it across the floor. You're not leaving. Watch me. Seojun, did you love him? The question burst out of me. Minjae, did you love him? Silence. That half-second of hesitation was all the answer I needed. We cared about him, Hyunwoo said finally. Losing him, thinking we lost him, it destroyed us. So I was what? My voice shook. A second chance? A do-over? The backup Omega you could save since you failed to save him? It's not like that, Jiho said. Then what is it like? I grabbed my bag from where he'd thrown it. Tell me I wasn't just a replacement. Tell me you would have wanted me if he'd never died. Tell me, my voice broke. Tell me I'm not about to watch you choose him and your son over me. Neither of them answered fast enough. The truth settled in my chest like a stone. That's what I thought. I moved toward the door. Hyunwoo blocked my path. What we feel for you is different, deeper, real. But you felt something for him first. I met his eyes. And now he's back with your child, your heir, everything I couldn't give you. Seojun, a sharp cry cut through the air. Junho screaming from somewhere down the hall. Both twins' heads snapped toward the sound. Instinct, biology. Their child needed them. Minjae appeared in the hallway. He needs you, both of you. Jiho looked between me and the crying child. Torn. Go, I said flatly. We'll finish this. Go. They left. Both of them. Moving toward their son's cries like magnets pulled by something stronger than anything they felt for me. I was alone again. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Still think you belong with them? I stared at the message. At the empty doorway where the twins had been. Then I grabbed my bag and walked out. The motel room smelled like mold and defeat. I sat on the edge of the bed staring at my phone. It had been off for 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of pretending I could actually do this. Disappear, start over, forget them. The battery was dying. Soon I wouldn't even have the option to turn it on. I had $43 left. Enough for maybe 2 more nights in this place, if I didn't eat. After that, I'd be sleeping on the street. Back where I started before I clawed my way into that studio apartment with the broken lock. Full circle. My hand moved to my stomach. The scar was still pink. Healing. A reminder of everything I'd lost in one night. The baby. Them. Any illusion that I was worth keeping. I should have been angrier. Should have hated them for choosing Minjae and Junho over me. But all I felt was tired. And something else. Something nagging at the back of my mind. Minjae's timing was too perfect. He shows up exactly 1 month after I lose the baby? After the twins and I finally started to build something real? After Kangdae was dead and Sulby's family was scattered? What kind of enemies had he been hiding from for 2 years that suddenly weren't a threat anymore? I stood up. The decision made itself before I could talk myself out of it. I wasn't going back to them. I just needed to see, to know if the questions eating at me had answers. Then I'd disappear for real. The compound looked the same as I'd left it. Gates closed, guards posted, lights on in the main house. I used the service entrance, the tunnel I'd escaped through during Kangdae's attack. The twins probably didn't even remember it existed. I emerged in the garden. Quiet, empty. A voice drifted from an open window on the second floor. Minja's room. He was on speakerphone. I moved closer, staying in the shadows beneath the window. I'm telling you, it's working perfectly. Minjae's voice, relaxed, almost giddy. The Omega's been gone for 3 days. The twins are losing their minds searching for him. And they really don't suspect anything? A man's voice on the other end, unfamiliar. Not a thing. They actually believe I spent 2 years hiding from enemies, that I was protecting their son. Minjae laughed. You should have seen their faces when they saw Junho. They cried. My heart stopped. I pulled out my phone, turned it on as quietly as possible. The screen lit up dim, started the voice recorder. Hit record. So the kid really is there? The man asked. Yeah, he's theirs. Got pregnant right before Sulby's stage attack. But that's the beautiful part. They think I love them, that I suffered alone for 2 years protecting their precious heir. Minja's voice dripped with contempt. Truth is, I never gave a damn about either of them. It was always about the money. Wait, Sulby actually paid you to fake your death? $500,000 up front. The deal was simple. Disappear, make the twins think I died in the attack she orchestrated, take the baby, and never come back. He paused. I was supposed to get rid of the kid, actually, but I kept him. Figured he'd be useful as leverage someday. And now you're back to get more money? Exactly. I give it 2 more weeks, and I'll have full access to their accounts. Then I'm gone for good. This time with enough to live like a king for the rest of my life. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. What about the Omega? The one who left? Who cares? He's got nothing. No money, no home, nowhere to go. And even if he does come crawling back, I'm the one they mourned for 2 years. I'm the one with their biological son. He's just some replacement they picked up when they were lonely. Minjae's laugh was cold. The twins are so pathetically emotional. All I had to do was show up with Junho, and they fell apart. Forgot all about their little broken Omega. You never loved them at all? Please. They're useful, powerful, rich. But love them? I can barely stand being in the same room. His voice turned bitter. 2 years I played the devoted Omega. Let them touch me, claim me, all of it. The pregnancy was an accident, but I made it work. And when Solby offered me a way out with a big payday, I took it without thinking twice. Cold, man. It's business. They've destroyed lives, killed people, taken whatever they wanted. I'm just doing the same. A notification sound erupted from my phone. I'd forgotten to silence it. The message preview lit up the screen. Jaiho. We're sorry. Please come back. What was that? Minjae's voice changed instantly. Sharp. Dangerous. I pressed the phone against my chest, but more notifications flooded in. 3 days worth of messages downloading at once. Buzz. 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 Someone's outside, Minjae said. I'll call you back. The call disconnected. I ran. Made it 10 feet before I heard the door slam open. Seojun. I stopped. Turned slowly. Minjae stood on the steps. Phone still in hand. His expression went from shock to rage to something calculated in seconds. How much did you hear? Everything. I held up my phone, still recording. All of it. His eyes locked on the device. Give that to me, now. No! He moved fast, crossed the distance and grabbed my wrist, crushing it. The phone fell into the grass. You just made a huge mistake, he hissed. Let go. His other hand wrapped around my throat, not squeezing yet, a promise. They'll never believe you. You're nothing. The Omega who couldn't even keep their baby. You think they'll choose your word over mine? Over their son's father? You never loved them, and they'll never know that. His grip tightened slightly. Because you're going to delete that recording. Then you're going to disappear. And if you ever try to come back, I'll tell them you threatened Junho, that you tried to hurt their child out of jealousy. They'll hunt you down for that. You're insane. I'm about to be very, very rich. His smile was vicious. And you'll still be exactly what you've always been. Nothing. Let him go. The voice came from the darkness behind Minjae. Cold, deadly Hyunwoo. Minjae's hand dropped from my throat. He spun around. Both twins stepped into the garden light. Jiho held my phone in his hand. The recording was still running. How long have you been standing there? Minjae asked. His voice had gone quiet. Since you started bragging about Solby's $500,000. Hyunwoo's expression was carved from ice. We heard everything. We tracked his phone, Jiho added, his voice hollow. The second it turned on, we knew where he was. We've been listening for 10 minutes. Minjae's face went white. You never loved us? Hyunwoo said. Not a question, a statement of fact. Silence. It was always about money, Jiho continued. His voice cracked. Solby paid you to fake your death. You took our son and disappeared. You don't understand, Minjae started. We understand perfectly. Hyunwoo pulled out his phone, made a call. Security to the main house, now, and someone get social services on the line. Wait, Minjae's composure finally broke. Junho is your son, your blood. You can't just... You kept him as leverage, Jiho said quietly. You were going to abandon him the second you got our money. You think we'd let you keep him after that? Guards appeared within seconds. They moved toward Minjae. This isn't over, he snarled at me. You think you've won? You're still nothing to them. A broken replacement. That's enough. Hyunwoo's voice cut through the air like a blade. The guards took Minjae by the arms and dragged him inside. His threats faded into the distance. Then the twins turned to me. I expected questions. Anger. Confusion about why I came back. Instead, they both dropped to their knees. Right there in the garden, on the cold ground. We're sorry, Hyunwoo said. His voice was raw. Destroyed. We chose wrong. When Junho cried, we should have stayed with you. We failed you, Jiho whispered. We made you feel like you didn't matter. I stared at them. You hesitated. What? When I asked if you loved Minjae, you hesitated. My voice shook. That hesitation broke me. We did love him, Jiho admitted. 2 years ago. Or we thought we did. But it wasn't real. He never loved us back. And what we feel for you, Hyunwoo looked up at me. It's nothing like that. It's deeper. Real. Consuming. How do I know I'm not just another replacement? The question tore out of me. How do I know? We've been searching for you for 3 days straight, Jiho interrupted. No sleep, no food, just searching. We thought we'd lost you and it felt like dying. We choose you, Hyunwoo said. Not because Minjae betrayed us. Not because we have no other option. We choose you because you're the only one who's ever been real. Tears burned my eyes. I don't know if I can trust this. Then don't. Not yet. Hyunwoo stood slowly. Just stay. Give us the chance to prove it. I have nowhere else to go, I whispered. Then stay here. Jiho stood as well. Stay with us. What if you change your mind? We won't. What if I'm not enough? You're everything, Hyunwoo said. He reached out, cupped my face. You've always been everything. I kissed him, desperate and real and full of 3 days of pain and fear and longing. Jiho's arms wrapped around both of us. Take me home, I whispered. You are home, they said together. 3 months later, I woke up between them. Sunlight warmed my skin. Jiho's arm draped across my waist. Hyunwoo's hand rested on my hip. Junho had been placed with a family member after the truth came out. Minjae was facing charges for fraud and extortion. It was over. I smiled and pulled them closer. For the first time in my life, I was home. Finally, permanently, impossibly home. Theory. If you've ever been told you were just a replacement, if you've ever felt like you were only valuable for what you could give someone, not for who you are, if you've ever been terrified to trust again because everyone who promised to stay eventually left, Seojun's story is for you. You're not broken. You're not second choice. You're not defined by what you lost or who abandoned you. Sometimes the people who swore they'd stay are the ones who leave first. And sometimes the ones you least expect become the family you were always meant to have. If this story hit different, show some love with a like. Let me know these stories matter to you. Drop a comment below sharing your experience. Subscribe for more emotionally charged stories about broken people finding their way home, love that's earned not given, and second chances that actually mean something. You deserve people who choose you. Every single day, not because they have to, because they want to. You were never the backup plan. You were always worth staying for.